Remember the time? 1992. Remember the Time was released in January. The video began with the sands of time going backward to Egypt, showing the busts of an Egyptian king and queen. I was stunned to see that Iman, the model I told him was the most beautiful woman in the world, was playing the queen. The video reminded me of a past life. I thought of a bust in Chicago at the Fields Museum that looked just like Michael, and wondered if he had remembered something. I watched Iman as she mimicked facial expressions I had been known to show myself, and enjoyed the end when he was unable to get caught because it was the dust of the flesh that turned to gold, alchemy, and not the spirit that anyone was able to capture. Other videos were released as well. The black or white video, just like the song, depicted the fact that nationality or skin color didn't matter because we were all human. The black and white babies sitting on top of the world made me smile. How sweet it was that the little black baby boy put his arm around the little white baby girl as the camera panned out, as if to say, "It's okay, the world's upside down, but it'll be okay." In February, Michael's rep announced another tour to raise funds for his new Heal the World Foundation, the purpose of which was to provide medicine as well as fight hunger, homelessness, and abuse. Underprivileged children would also be able to visit the Neverland Ranch, where Michael lived. "My goal is to gross $100 million by Christmas 1993, he said, during a press conference announcing the tour in February 1992. "I urge every corporation and individual who cares about this planet and the future of the children to help raise money for the HTW charity. The Heal the World Foundation will contribute funds to pediatric AIDS in honor of my friend Ryan White. I'm looking forward to this tour because it will allow me to devote time to visiting children all around the world, as well as to spread the message of global love in the hopes that others too will be moved to do their share to heal the world." That was the year I decided to paint. Using color vibrations along with vibrations from stone crystals, I created pieces that spoke to others and sent healing vibrations into their rooms. Each color and stone carried a meaning and a vibration with it. Coupled together, they could have healing effects. Still trying to resolve my connection to Michael, I continued my psychic education through a home group that one of the ladies formed. I wasn't the only one. At times I felt inferior to the rest of the group. One evening, one of the ladies told us that every time her guide, Saint Therese, was around, she smelled roses. It would be nice to have experiences like that, I thought. I always wanted someone to prove to me that he or she was really there. Almost all of us at one time or another said something like, "If you're really there, make this chair move," to our guides. Of course, if mine ever did, I'd pass it off as coincidence anyway. I came home feeling a bit down. Maybe I was just reaching for something to believe in something, I thought. I sat down on the couch, lit a cigarette, and pondered. The reality of non-reality, trying to explain each situation away by some weird coincidence. After all, Michael Jackson wasn't a boy next door I could ask for physical validation from, and none of my other experiences were like my friends'. At least she could smell the roses after all. That's when the rosary and prayer book that used to belong to my grandfather practically flew off about a foot behind the table next to me. It startled me. My mind was on its way to the place where I could explain it away when the sight of the rose petal caught my eye. Great, I thought. Now this is out of the place where he had it marked. I don't even know if I'll be able to find it again. I picked up the prayer book and opened it to the first place my thumb seemed to go. It was a prayer to Saint Therese of the child Jesus called the Little Flower of Jesus. Maybe this is the one, I thought. I read through the prayer quickly to see if it made sense and began to smell roses. It was then that I came to the part that said, "After prophesying that she would spend her heaven in doing good on earth, she would shower down roses and would come down to assist her clients." All at once I realized I had experienced her roses years before when I prayed her prayer for protection from my ghost. I laughed out loud and apologized to her, thanking her for reminding me. In May, Michael released the video for In the Closet. A new model named Naomi Campbell just happened to be the same height and weight that I was. She was a big deal because she was apparently one of the heavier models for her height, so I took a bit of offense until she became very well known because of it. Shortly after, Michael published a book called Dancing the Dream. It was the first book I ever purchased about him, even though he had released an autobiography years before. Dancing the Dream was a book of poetry. I had heard him recite it to me time and again, but now here it was on paper with his name. This was the Michael Jackson I knew. That October, HBO broadcast Michael live in Bucharest, and I noticed I knew the order of all the songs before they took place, wondering again why. If things weren't strange enough already, during one of my pretend nightly conversations, someone other than the voice I usually recognized as Michael's addressed me. I sensed someone standing by the foot of my bed as he began. I implore you to help us. Help you what? Help bring divine order into the consciousness of man for the unfoldment of humanity. We need your assistance. Who are you? I am not one, but we are many. When you think of me, think of yourself. When you think of yourself, think of the many. We are called the Brotherhood of Light. I paused at his response, taken by the fact that he did not reveal his name. He did not say, I am Ivan the Great, or make any other egotistical statement. I don't know how I can help, but of course I'll help in any way I can. We'd be very pleased. There was a pause between both of us, and I felt a warm energy settling into my heart, as if he was waiting to register my sincerity. Then he continued. Thank you. This conversation was as strange as it was warm. How did they find me? Who exactly was this Brotherhood of Light? And how could I ever help them, especially when they never told me? I couldn't help but think about how humble he was, however. After all, if one of their representatives said I was to help everyone and not just him, then he must be very selfless. I went on with my life for the next few days, without running into any more strange voices or visitors at the end of my bed, until one of the ladies from group called to ask if I'd ever heard of the name Melchizedek. It sounds familiar, I said, but I can't place it. Why? Well, she said, I went to the bookstore and wasn't sure what I was looking for. Then this book fell off the shelf. I picked it up and put it back on. It fell off again. So I figured, hey, maybe I should take a look at it. The name on it is Melchizedek. I'll take a look and see. Ending the call, I tried to remember where I might have seen the name. Then I remembered the white book, the one I bought years prior with no idea why. I went to get it and looked in the back for the name. Lo and behold, Melchizedek was there. Means eternal Lord of Light, sovereign of light, in charge of organizing the levels of the heavenly world of YHWY for transit into new creation, co-equal with Metatron and Michael in the rescue, regenesis, and re-education of worlds, going through the purification of the living light. He is in charge of the heavenly order, brotherhood of Melchizedek, and the spiritual and planetary priesthood of Melchizedek. Jehovah will prepare the world for deliverance through Melchizedek and the order of Melchizedek. It is the manifestation of a Son of God. I was baffled, especially considering the Brotherhood was the group I had spoken to just days earlier. One thing led to another, and pretty soon I was on a week of discovery about the orders of the Brotherhoods, what they did, how Jewish mysticism seemed to fit in, and that the chapters of the Bible were removed years earlier by whoever was in power at the time. All this time I had questions about the truth of life, and now, within a week, it seemed hundreds of my questions were answered. It was very intriguing. I loved learning about this seemingly invisible group who was doing all this massively important work for the benefit of the human race. It was amazing to think that there was order and divinity working down to our cellular structure, as if society dictated a different life that was not of divine order, but of a random series of events, one that called divine intervention, miracles, and human mistakes tragedies. Here, however, they were telling us, just as Jesus had, that divine order, divine intervention, and healing powers were our birthright. Human mistakes, our tragedies, were only choices we were making unconsciously and without thought of our true nature of divinity. There were no random acts, nothing without reason, and nothing that existed without the divine complement of existing together. As heavy as it was, it made sense. Part of my consciousness seemed to expand. It was positive, uplifting, and gave me hope for a world I once was so sad for. With the Dangerous album out, combined with my findings, I noticed Michael not only mentioned the Talmud, but also included the all-seeing eye of God on the cover of his album. Could it be that he symbolized the journey of where the world was headed using an amusement park ride? A world that in the end came out under divine order and wisdom?